Good morning, everyone. Welcome to And I'm Sherry, and this is our weekly podcast. I believe it's episode 12. Let's talk about it. So I'm going to kick this session off with something a little controversial. It's about a video that went viral. It's not another recall, but it's just something where we might want to be paying attention to our food sources. So I'm not going to get political. I'm going to keep this neutral, but all I'm going to say is where there's smoke, there's fire. So let's go ahead and talk about it now. All right. Now our chickens are getting jabbed. All right, so let me just start this off. This video that we're going to watch in just 1 second went viral all over the place. TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, it's everywhere. And you can imagine the comments and the uproar of people. So as Americans, as a society, we are busy people. Okay, we don't really pay attention. It is get up, go to work, Groundhog Day, right? And we're just, okay, get out of work, get the kids, go to the grocery store. We're not paying attention. We're just not as a society. Other countries, they take siestas. They take a moment to take a breath. For maternity leave, they take, I think it's 6 months in some countries. So what I'm saying is that people are just like, yep, got to go to the grocery store. I'm just going to get this. And they're not really paying attention to what's happening in the news. And so with this video, and again, we'll watch it in a second, it's about Trader Joe's, I should say, plural. And they have been accused of using, I think it's chicken tenders or chicken breast, and they're giving them a vaccine for this chicken flu or bird flu. Now, supposedly, that's not true. And people are, like I said, it went viral and the comments are just out there. There's some people going, oh, it's the government and they want us to eat crickets. Don't know about that. But I'm simply saying that other countries do this and that some of our meat sources, they aren't just restricted to the US. We're getting things from other countries. So you don't really know. So go back to what I originally said. We are a society of fast pace. So my suggestion is slow down, take a deep breath. As tower gardeners or even soil-based gardeners, you want to know, good morning, Anthony, you want to know where your food is coming from, whether it's a darn cucumber or now we have to be careful with our chickens. I buy most of my proteins from, like a butcher, Whole Foods. I really try to pay attention as to where it's coming from. But so are they going to start mandating a vaccine for our chickens now? It's crazy. So we have to really pay attention. So let's go ahead and watch the video and then we'll talk about it a little bit more.
Social media channels. What is true is that none of our poultry is given mRNA vaccines. Need more proof?
Before we start sticking our chickens, we need to ensure and putting that into the food supply that we know exactly what we're doing.
This is the U.S. Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins, speaking at a news conference earlier this year.
Our egg layers and our broilers, our poultry industry does not use vaccinations right now. A lot of the industry believes on the egg laying side that we should, but it isn't a proven vaccine yet.
The call for vaccines comes after an epidemic of avian flu. So far, more than 170 million infected birds have been euthanized in the U.S., sending egg prices skyrocketing. About a dozen countries do vaccinate poultry for bird flu, including...
Just take note of that. Okay, other countries are doing it.
Mexico, China, France, and the Netherlands. But in the U.S., there is no commercially available vaccine, although one drug maker has been granted a conditional license to conduct further testing.
It could be a solution. But to push that out now and require it, we're just not ready. We don't have enough information, and we need to fully understand how it will affect the food supply.
The Trump administration is now spending $100 million to research the effectiveness of the vaccine. But right now, chickens at Trader Joe's or anywhere in the U.S. are not getting the jab. This post is false.
Okay, so like I said in the very beginning, I'm the type of person that when there's smoke, there's fire. And they may not be doing it right this second, but give them time. And, we'll take the cucumber as an example. That maybe the wax coating on it is to protect it from, like to keep it fresher longer because it's going from A to B. And from the crops to the packing to, like I said before, in a future, a podcast that we did a couple of weeks ago, explaining the process. Gets on a plane, then it sits in refrigeration, then people come and pick it up, and then they move it to the big stores. It's the same thing with our poultry. Okay, it's the same thing with our meats. They're just being moved, from one place to the next, and occasionally you are going to get a recall. But I think as a society, we need to push back on this. We need to know what's in our food. Okay, now I'm going to blow this up so you guys can see this. This comment is it's hysterical. So one person, again, these threads were just like miles long of people talking about this. And someone saying, don't eat chicken. Recent, suggests that consuming more than 300 grams of poultry per week can be associated with higher risk of, mortality. I can debunk that right now. As a certified nutritionist, retired bodybuilder, I can tell you that the average person, we'll just take a man, okay, who weighs maybe 200 pounds. He probably has 180 pounds or, maybe like 175 of lean body mass. You need protein to keep that alive. 1 gram per pound of lean body mass. Now, you're not going to feed the whole person. You're just going to feed the lean body mass. And chicken is one of the healthiest proteins out there. It's not a fatty food. However, if they're going to start jabbing it, then that brings a whole other element of what's going on here. All right. And so then they go on to, the 200 grams per week. Oh my God, I would be emaciated. I know people that are bodybuilding that, they can eat 300 grams in a day. They're not sick. They're super healthy people. Having a high protein diet is good for you. Getting rid of the processed foods, getting rid of the fats, that's what makes you sick. Sugar, absolutely. Go and research cancer. It's on there, that and alcohol and tobacco. So, I debunked that. And then someone came in and says, oh, it's pushed by the government. They want us to eat bugs. Well, honestly, crickets are high in protein. So there you go. I don't eat them. I think it's kind of gross, but you do you. But then the last comment I have to laugh at this, all pushed by the people trying to prevent us from being reincarnated as chickens, so you don't find yourself slaughtered, butchered, sold at Trader Joe's, and seared at a barbecue in the next life. I mean, I think I read this thread, one of them, for an hour, and it just was like, you got to be kidding me. But I go back to and I simply say, where there's smoke, there's fire. And this is coming because it has driven the price of food, your meats up, and eggs. I mean, I know at one point at the height of this, eggs were up to like $11 a carton. I mean, it's crazy, but you need them. It's essential. So just have caution, take a moment, take a breath, and understand and really look at where your food is coming from. And I will also too, I'm going to throw a little jab at Trader Joe's. There are a lot of recalls, whether it's produce, whether it's meats, whether it's other things that are in there. There are a lot of recalls in that store. So I'm not saying don't shop there, but have caution. Okay. So let's go ahead and move on to happier times. All right. Tower Cucumber 101. So we talked about the phases. Okay, so when you're growing things on a tower and you're just starting out, we've talked about master your greens, phase 1. Phase 2, master your peppers, tomatoes, and cucumbers, and then move on from there. So this is a phase 2. So what this person is asking is they're feeling challenged. This is my first time growing with a seed that doesn't need to be pollinated. So let me just stop you right there. There are no seeds for cucumbers that are non-pollinating. I don't know where you got the seed or who told you that, but that's not true. The cucumbers throw off a very small yellow flower. and it does need to be pollinated. It's a ton of pollinating, but it's very easy. You get in there with a little paintbrush, kid's paintbrush, or even a Q-tip will work too. And then you just kind of go from one flower to the next, and before you know it, you have a tower full of cucumbers. It's very rewarding. But I will say, with teaching or learning about cucumbers, what's the first thing I say? Check your PC, check your nutrients, okay? Um, your pH, and then your nutrients. And then you really just look at your tower. Make sure there's no powdery mildew. Make sure you got water in the reservoir. Make sure your tower's clean. Do your homework. If your tower is in fine working order, you're not going to have issues. Okay, you're not. And you're going to be able to grow this. Now, I will say this picture looks like one of those European cucumbers, and you're outside, so you might be okay. But I did try to do this on my tower, and it doesn't work. I needed to switch over to a Space Master or a kind of like a little, like a nibble size, a little tiny cucumber, and those work perfectly on the tower, and they grow like weeds. So I would switch to a smaller variety. I would stay up on your pH. I would stay on your EC, and keep it on the low side if you're outside, and in that mid range if you're on the inside. So that's what I would do with your cucumbers. But this is definitely a nutrient issue. This is a pH issue, and you need to pollinate. That's cucumber 101. Okay, master your nursery. So again, I'm going to go back to master your tower, master your different phases of your greens, peppers, and tomatoes, and then some. This person's basically asking those of you who start seeds directly in the tower, any specific tips? Well, here's a tip: don't do it. I only consider it because we are restarting the towers, and I would love to just throw them in there. Okay, well, we all want easy. But if you skip this step, then you're wasting time. I simply would say build a small area. It doesn't have to be in your main home. It could be in your basement, as long as you've got a little nursery house with a top. It could be the to-go containers that we get from the Tower Garden people, and then you put some lights on top of it. You put your seeds in the rock wall. You put them in the house with the grow lights on top, and within 12 days, 10 days, 12 days, you will have seedlings. It depends on what you're growing. So you can go and you can watch my pumpkin seedling plant out that I just did. That was 12 days from seed to seedling, and now they're in the tower. So it's only a week, but if you throw those seeds into the tower and you skip this step, you're just wasting time. You're going to be looking in there going, what's going on? What's going on? And the reason is that you've got nutrients that are flowing through the tower. Yes, you've got the lights, but you also have this incredible cascading of water, and it's going to rinse your seeds away. It's going to be too much for them. They need to be coddled. Think of a baby. You're swaddling the baby. You're feeding the baby every so many hours. That's your seed. You have to nurture that in order for the root system to grow. You need at least 3 sides and a bottom before you can put it into the tower. And then you're good to go. So you can really go and watch the pumpkin video that I just did, because it was taking them out of the nursery into the tower, and they had 3 leaves. Okay, not all of them got planted. They're not ready, but I did take the ones out that were ready, and put them in. So that's there to watch. So master the nursery. Do not skip this step, because you're just wasting time. So let's go ahead and move on. Okay, so then that brings me to my favorite seeds. Okay, where does everyone buy their tower garden seeds from? So what I like to say is that when you get your towers, if you buy them from Tower Gardening, they're going to give you many packets of seeds, and most of them will be your greens. There'll be probably 2 or 3 lettuce. I think there maybe spinach, collards, basil. It's mostly greens. And again, why do they do that? Because they want you to be successful at mastering that first level. And they grow like weeds. They're really, really easy to do. But don't skip a step. Put them in the nursery. And then eventually you'll probably run out, and you're going to want your own seeds. So in my website, towergardeningmadeeasy.com, I've created a whole page of my favorite seeds. That you can see right there from the left. I can blow this up a little bit. Is the pumpkin. And then I've got some lettuce, and then the cherry tomatoes that everybody loves. Again, these are all just clickable. Go right to Amazon. Purchase them. I don't make any money from this. It's just making it very easy for you to follow and be part of our community. And basically, it's just a 1, 2, 3 to get you going. These are the peppers that I've grown. I've grown the summer squash. I've grown the zucchini, the bell peppers. Those are the first beans that I did when we were in the other room. I only had a few of those, and they were just fine. But then I switched over to the botanical blue lake. Love those. So go back and watch those videos. I literally just cleaned that tower out. I think I had like, I don't know, 5 to 6 harvests. I've got 2 huge bags of beans in my freezer. So I cut the whole tower back and realized that I had a couple blooms, but not enough. And I think it's just they're kind of like a harvest. You're kind of like one and done. And then I cleaned it out, and then I've spaced out my squash plants, and that's what I did. So that's where the tower is now with zucchini and summer squash, but they're just really really big and spaced out so that we can get some really good sized fruit going. And then there's the baby watermelon. That's the one I like. Now, where do I buy them? Mostly Amazon. But I've been known to go to Walmart on a day that I get bored, or Target, like in the wintertime when I was super bored. And I just peruse the aisles of where the seeds are. So what I would say is give it a shot. Will you be successful? Probably. I would say 90%. The only time that I wasn't was I bought a bean. You guys can watch that video where it's Bad Seed Big Lesson, where I planted out the entire tower of this bean, and it just wasn't meant for the tower. All of the leaves turned like this rustic red color, and the beans they were huge, and it didn't look right. So I decided, you know what? It just wasn't meant for the tower, so I pulled it out. So that's what you're going to experience. Unfortunately, you got to try it. Do just a couple. Don't do a whole tower like I did, but I've got 9 towers. So plant them out, see what happens, and if it's not looking right or not working for you, then just yank it out, start over. The seeds are only a couple dollars per packet anyway, but you don't know until you try. But remember, either the root vegetables like carrots, you can't grow on the tower. I've known people to do radish, and that some people have actually tried onion. Um, I'm probably going to stay away from those because I did try to throw some chives in there, and in the grow room where I am, it's relatively warm. And every time I went near that tray in the nursery, I was like, oh my God, it just smelt like onion. And I said to myself, as these get older, it's only going to get worse. And so I decided, you know what, this is just not something that's meant to grow indoors. I think down the road, when my backyard is done, I will put them outside, and that'll be fine, but not meant for indoors. So have caution with those. But, try your different squashes, try your different cucumbers, not the long one, not the European one, but the different other varieties. Give those a whirl. Try the different peppers. I'm doing jalapeno peppers right now. I'm also doing the store-bought red, orange, and yellow. If you watched that video, that live where I just took store-bought seeds, the peppers rather, and I took the seeds out. Those are on the very top now of the pepper tower. It's kind of all like segmented of different peppers in there, just to try it, just to see what happens. And they're all doing really really great. Even the ones on the video that I did, taking a nursery pepper plant and rinsing the soil down to just the bare roots and then putting that in the tower. Those all did really great. Even one, surprisingly, that I thought wasn't going to make it. I was like, oh, this thing isn't going to make it. But I left it alone. I just left it alone. And then all of the leaves pretty much fell off with the exception of these 2 tiny little sad leaves. And I looked at it this morning and I was like, oh my God, it's actually growing. It's actually doing something. It's growing other leaves. And I go, it's going to be fine. I just got to leave it alone. So you can buy things in the nursery, but just keep the soil away from the tower, rinse it all down, make sure you get every single particle to the best of your ability, even let it soak in water for a little bit to get everything out. It's really, really, really important because you don't want to invite that soil based into the tower because your reservoir is going to be a mess, and you could potentially get some bugs in there too. So don't do that. But yeah, you can get seeds anywhere. But Amazon's my favorite place just because we don't really have a lot of places around here. So definitely shop around, have fun. It's kind of fun to do that. And then please comment in the post so that we know what you're growing and what you're having success with. Share it with the community. I would love that if people could do it. It would really make me happy. So that's what we're gonna do with the seeds. Let's move on. Okay. So I'm gonna come up with this new 3-point rule. Okay, kind of like my phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Probably guys I'm sick of hearing it at this point. I'm going to do the same thing. So when someone posts something in a forum, and you're watching this, do yourself a favor, because if you're asking for help, we need to know how we can help you, but we need all of the information. So go ahead and post it like this picture. This person hasn't put their towers up in 5 years. And what they're trying to do is get some information. Is this fungus? Is this, they don't know. So when you assess your tower, you want to know what your pH is, what your EC is, and are your lights adjusted? So for instance, on my tomato tower, it's huge. And I let one of the wands get too close to a section and it actually burnt. It almost looked like, a pH burn, but it wasn't. It was just one section. And I followed it up all the way down. And I knew it had to have been the wand. So, because it wasn't anywhere else in the tower, just right there. You need to move the wands out. And this is a cute little story. So I was helping a girl and she's like, I don't know what's going on. And I go, move your wands out. And she's like, they move? And I go, yes. And she's like, my husband set up the tower for me. And what a sweetheart. That was very nice of him to do that. But yes, they do move. Please take the plastic off the top. And because you're just emitting, plastic fibers that are getting warm into your atmosphere, and that's not healthy for you. So she's like, my husband set it up. I'm like, okay, that's fine. She's like, I didn't know you could move them. I'm like, she's just so cute. But what's happening here looks like this tower is outside. And from my guess, this looks like a pH burn. So this person and I kind of went back and forth. And I said, when was the last time you tested your pH? And she's like, it's been weeks. And I go, that's probably the problem. And it looks like it's in direct light all the time, she said. So if you are in this, well, we're pretty much all warm at this point. So if you have a tower and it's outside and it's in direct sunlight, make sure that it's not there all day. Try to shelter it a little bit so that you get some indirect sun at some point, either in the afternoon or in the morning. Blazing sun for towers, not necessarily a good thing. But this is definitely a pH burn. It looks like her pH is through the roof. And once you adjust it, you can actually pick off those leaves. Not a big deal because the rest of the tower looks really, really good. It will rejuvenate, it will regrow, and you'll be just fine. But you have to check the pH at least twice a week, put it on a calendar, and then your nutrients at least one. All right. And how do you fix that? You can go to my videos and watch the nutrient school video. But real quickly, if you have the PDF form, you download it from the website. If it's too high, you add water. If it's too low, then you add your nutrients A and B very slowly, very slowly. Like I'm talking like, down on the very bottom of that white cup that you get from with the nutrients, just very little bits. Then you stir it around and retest until you get to the desired amount that you need. If you're outside, use that lower number. So let's just say your range is 1.8 to 2.4. Outside, I would do 1.8. Indoors, I probably would do, if it's mature, probably somewhere in the 2. If you've got a multi tower, like I'll use this as an example, my pumpkin tower that I've just planted out. I've got the seedlings, and their pH range can be anywhere from 5.5 to 7.5, which I thought was wild. And the EC range is 1.8 to 2.4. But I have above that, I've got some arugula, and I also have some celery. So I'm going to keep this right now at 1.8 for the nutrients, and the pH I'm going to keep at 6. So you just look at everything you have in the tower, you kind of put it on a piece of paper, and you find middle of the road. And so again, small changes for big results. If you do too much too fast, you don't know what worked. But the nutrients and the pH walk hand in hand. So this is the 3-point rule that we're going to be using if you post something and you're looking for help, okay? Because it just makes it my job a little bit easier. So we corrected this for this individual, and she's very happy. And I love the girl that her husband set up her tower. So let's go ahead and move on. Okay, let's do the update on the Pumpkin Tower Challenge. So I just posted this yesterday. This is the Tower Gardening meets Pumpkin Power. Time to plant the wee little pumpkin seeds. So they were in the nursery for 12 days. So I planted them into the, I used Tower Garden rock wall. That's all I had on hand, which is, it's fine. And from day 1 to day 12, they were good. So you could see that there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 8 that went into the tower, that they were ready to go. The rest of them, they're not ready. So I put them back in the nursery, safe and sound, uncovered, just under the spider lights. But the other guys are ready to go. They were getting very, very leggy. And as you can see, they've got 3 leaves. So if you have seedlings like this, whether they're melons, pumpkins, squash, zucchini, whatever you're growing, you want them to have at least 3 areas on the rock wall with roots and then maybe a couple coming through the bottom. Then you want to have at least 2 leaves. These guys popped up with their 3rd leaf, and I go, yep, time to get them in, and they're good to go. I will say that the tower garden rock wall it disintegrates in the tower just a little bit. So what I like to do is when I put these guys in, I cut up some pieces or rip them apart, and then I build a little collar for them. You watch the video as to how I do it, and it just gives that main vine support, okay? Because it's just floppy. It's just going like this. So you got to really give it that support, and that's what I did. So you just watch the video and you'll see that. And then what I did was I put a cover. So one of the things, I love tower garden rockwall. I really, really do. But it has some downsides to it. It's very susceptible to algae. And it really breaks down in the tower. So you have to watch it. So if you plant something that has a good size vein or vine to it, rather, you have to keep topping it off so that it stays supported. And then the algae, you put a cover. So those little round discs, you'll see that in the video. They're also in my essential garden in the nursery section in the website. It's just a round disc with a slit that goes around the stem, which then blocks the light so that the algae can't grow. So remember, if algae starts to form, and you can see this in this picture, you can see that the algae's already started, and this is only 12 days in the nursery, and I'm not using any nutrients. It's just water, just plain water, rockwall, seeds, warming mat, and lights. That's the formula. And it already has algae. So it's just something with whatever they use for making their rock wall. It's just their product. But I do like it because the roots can penetrate through it very quickly. So that's why I still use it. So it has its advantages. So don't not use it. But just know that that's the downside, that you're going to have to top it off and block the light on those. Okay. But once your plants grow a canopy, then you're good to go. Then it's not going to get the algae. However, it will disintegrate, so you'll have to top it off. So that is the update on the pumpkin challenge, and we'll update you again probably in a week or so when the others are ready. I'll just pop them in there real quickly, but we'll update with a video as to the growth and where they are from this stage to the next stage. So, and the update on the watermelons, I need to get in there and do that as well. I have tons of watermelons. I have 2 that are in hammocks. There's a 3rd one that needs to be put into a hammock. And then I have got lots of little ones that are just kind of kicking around. So yeah, it's pretty exciting that I just can't believe how many watermelons I have. So I'm really excited. If I can do that, then I really feel confident that we can at least get a couple pumpkins too. So let's stay tuned on that. All right, so part of my mushroom segment. So I had one that was in here, and I decided to change it out to this one. And this was found in Tanzania. This is in Australia. I mean, how crazy is that? We started watching a show on Netflix called The Survivors, and it's based in this region, this Tasmania, whatever. And what it is, it's like wildlife. It's like a huge, well, not a rainforest, but just there's lots and lots of forest. And I can't imagine like walking in a forest and then just seeing this. I mean, obviously, I would never pick it. I would never eat it. But admire from afar and definitely take some pictures. So, and also too, check out that show, Survivors on Netflix. It's pretty good. But yeah, this is my mushroom series. But now that it's springtime, they're everywhere. They pop up in the darndest places, and they really just are magical. But this one, I don't know. It just looks very scary. Very, very scary. The other one that was like this was the Chernobyl. Remember that one that we posted a few weeks ago? That was scary. But maybe next week we'll do one that's more like Alice in Wonderland pretty. So let's go ahead and move on. All right, the magic of spring. I love this one. Okay, so I came across this picture and I was like, whoa, what is that? So this is from someone's window, and they're clearly in the southern region. So if you're in Florida, please chime in. This is called the Queen of Night, and it only blooms once a year. It's so crazy. And it's a cactus. So I guess it vines, looks like it vines on trees. Um, and it just, I don't know. It's just there. And then it decides once a year in the spring, goes and it blooms. But I have this video, so I want to share that with you. But it's, I don't know, really, really cool. And then people say the flowers open up to like, 7 to 8 inches. So let's go ahead and watch the video.
Goes down, the queen of the night comes out, and is the only night of the year that the bloom is on display at the Marie Selby Botanical Gardens.
Yeah, this is a beautiful sight here. Hundreds of people came out to the viewing party tonight for a flower. Fox 13's Kylie Jones gives us a look at a bloom that happens just once a year.
It's fun to wait. It's kind of the anticipation is fun, and you get a good seat.
The lawn chairs gathered around the entrance to Marie Selby Botanical Gardens Thursday night. It's a day people wait all year for.
We are here to see some botanical madness of this flowering cactus.
It's wrapped around this tree, and it only comes out at night.
We call it Queen of the Night, Selenocereus taranthus.
Named after Selene, Greek goddess of the moon.
And it flowers at night to attract a certain kind of pollinator in its native habitat of the Caribbean and Mexico. So the things that pollinate this we don't have here in Florida, but they would be leaf-nosed bats or hawk moths.
The Queen of the Night only comes out on one night out of the year, a phenomenon that people say you have to see up close. You can see hundreds of buds waiting until the sun goes down. Right after the sun sets, the Queen of the Night makes a grand entrance. Selby Gardens VP of Horticulture Mike McLaughlin says the bloom happens all in about half an hour.
And they'll go all the way from the bud to all the way open. And the flowers can be quite large. They'll be 6 to 8 inches in diameter.
And people lined up to get their photos of the full bloom because in just a few short hours.
And then at dawn, when the sun comes up, those flowers will start closing up.
And you'll have to wait until next year to see it again.
It's beautiful. Absolutely, absolutely gorgeous. So once a year, I don't know of anything around here that's like that. Maybe like some of the orchids in the wild, like the lady slippers, they bloom in the spring, but they stay up for a little bit. So, but this was pretty spectacular when I came across it, and I was like, let me do a little research, and I found this clip for you guys. So I hope you enjoyed that. All right, let's move on. Okay, so I loved this question. So this is my older tomato tower that still exists, and still I just took this picture the other day. It's tons of tomatoes on it, and it's getting to the point where I need to start to clean her up a little bit because there's tomatoes on the inside that I can't even see, even though I pruned it back last week. And I come down in the morning and they're like splat on the floor. So I need to kind of clean her up. But the question is, when you plant an entire tower of tomatoes, how do you space them out? So let me start from the beginning. I planted this guy out in December. And what I did was I did this seeding right here, this dwarfed cherry tomato, and you can find that on the website. This is the take you right to Amazon. This is what I use. This is what's on that tower, and it works really, really well. The great thing is that when you are ready and you need to turn your tower over, you're going to clone it. You're not going to go back to seeds. You're going to take off those suckers and you're going to put them into rock wall. Okay, you're going to follow this series in my tomato. Little thing on YouTube. What do they call those? Where you put them in a category. I can't think of the name of it. It'll come back to me. Anyway, it's there. You watch the series of it. It's kind of a catalog of them. And Clone It Like Kevin is the video. And then you just go stick them in the rock wall, and then you put them in your nursery, and then you can put them right into your tower, and you never have to do seeds again. But this is the variety. So if you haven't had that, you can do that. Or right now, where we're in season, you can actually do the rinsing of the ones that are in the your nurseries. Get all the soil off though, please, and then pop them right in. But I'm about to clone this. I'm about to take this all apart, just get it really nice and clean, because I can start to see some nutrient buildup and some gunk inside. So I don't want to let it go too much. So I'm going to take the clones, get them ready, and then we'll replant it in a hot minute. But yeah, it's really pretty. So you can plant out all of the net pots. And in the baby green section, what you can do is put every other, and then just, as they grow together, it will look like this. And I pulled some of the baby green ones over time out because they were just getting a little leggy. The other thing that was happening is this was getting so tall, it was going above the lights. Don't let that happen, because when the vines kind of come around where the lights are, if you're indoors, that area needs air, okay? Because those lights are really, really warm, and that's, their hub right there. So just keep them away from the wands and the power cords and things like that. Just prune them back. Also, by doing that, you're telling the main plant to actually continue to flower. So you'll get more fruit. If you let it go wild and go crazy, then it'll just be a house plant. And we don't want house plants. We want food. So that's the main important thing. But yeah, it's almost time to do this. And it's sad, even though I did do this for the other tower. So when those ripen up, and I know that I can start to harvest off my little tower, is when I think I will take this one apart and get all the tomatoes, all the tomato plants, and then just replant it. It happens quite quickly. The clones, literally, I think once I cloned them, I had them in the tower. I had flowers within 2 weeks, and I had fruit within 4. So I'm not concerned because I have so much foliage to pick from, to clone from, that I know it'll come back nice and fast, and it really won't cost me any money at all, because I already have the clones and just have to pay for the rock wall. So that's a really easy way, inexpensive way to redo your tower. So that's how you do that. Here we go. Let's move on. All right. So the critter of the week. So I found this. So this owl, I don't know what town this is, but I know that if I saw this in person, I probably would die. Where I live, there's tons of owls. Somebody must have like an owl house, because they're everywhere around here. You can hear them up in the trees, which is kind of pretty. So this particular owl must think that this is her baby or something, and she stole someone's hobby horse. And people have seen this owl fly around with the hobby horse. So it's just so cute. I just loved this. I thought it was amazing. But yeah, there's the owl, there's the hobby horse. That's our critter of the week. And then this is my pick of the week. So this is the Queen of Night, as we just saw. Again, I got to give it to her because it only blooms once a year, and it's quite amazing. And I would love to see that in person. I wish I lived in Florida so that I could actually go and be part of that. It would be a lot of fun. There's a plant in New York. I think it's in their botanical garden of some sort. And I call it the garbage flower. It's one of those big, massive, looks like one of those banana trees. And it only blooms once a year. It's usually in the winter time. And when it opens up, it smells like rotting something. I've never seen it like in person, but you see it on the news. They always do a little clip on it once a year. So it's fun to see something like that, if you're really into gardening, which clearly you are because you're here and you're watching me. So anyway, let's end this up here. There we go. All right. So I just want to bring this to a close and thank everybody for joining me today. And if you didn't catch this live, hopefully you'll catch this on the repeat. But to bring it back to the chickens and the jab, do your research, people. I always say that when there's smoke, there's fire. And I really hope that the U.S. is not doing that to our chickens or to anything at this point, because it's just not good. And I, if you do see this video out there, know that it did go viral and that you really just need to form your own opinion on it and understand that when you buy your poultry or your meats, know where they come from. Find a vetted source that's healthy and humane. Okay. And the same thing with your eggs. You want, the cage-free eggs. And the healthier your food is, the healthier you are. So if I learn any more about this, I'll be sure to bring it to your attention and just keep you up to date on any other recalls that are coming down the pike. But again, I'm not slamming Trader Joe's, but it just seems like they're one of the culprits. And some of the other big box stores as well, that they're not being very careful about where they're getting their food, and they're just bringing it in, they're putting it on the shelves, and it's for us to figure out whether it's good for us and our family. So as I said in the very, very beginning, we are a society of hurry up and wait. Take a breath, slow down, read labels, and do what's best for you and your family. So I'm going to end it here, a little early today. I want to thank you for joining me. You can always see this on the recap if you missed anything. And we'll see you next Wednesday. I'm really looking forward to bringing some interviews of people who tower garden. That's going to be coming out very, very soon. Kind of break up our content here and have them share their stories with me. I would love, love, love that. And again, please comment down below, especially about your seeds, what you had success with, and maybe non-success, so that we can stay up to date as a community as to what works and what doesn't. So we will see you very soon next week at 11 o'clock on Wednesday. Have a great week, everybody.